Hey everybody, it's Tafony here again. Today I'm rambling about the Worng Electronics SoundStage 2. I think it's wrong. It's wrong spelt wrong, I think. If it's Worng, I don't know. Let's just go with wrong for today. So the SoundStage 2 is a 21 input spectral mixer. It's a beautifully simple concept of 21 inputs that pan and filter based on their physical location, and where you put them on the stage here will give them space somewhat literally across the board in your mix. So here's the disclaimer. I'm once again borrowing this thing from Marius, who was very kind to lend this to me once again. A huge thank you. As always, this video isn't sponsored or anything. I'm just borrowing it, and these are my own thoughts. And more importantly than all that, it sounds like this. Yeah, I really like that. Okay, so there's three versions of the SoundStage at this point. There's the SoundStage 1, the original with no FX end. There's the Jumble Hinge, which is an ALM version of the SoundStage 1. It's more compact, it has less inputs, but it's also cheaper. And I have not had the pleasure of trying either of those, but now here we are with the SoundStage 2, which adds effect sends. Very nice. Those effect sends are also filtered and panned like the inputs are. It adds logarithmic VCA response and what they describe as better low-end response. I haven't tried that one. I haven't even tried this one. So I can't speak to how much of a difference any of that makes. But we're going to go through this today. It's a pretty straightforward one, but let's go over the panel. So there are 21 inputs here, and what you have left to right is the amount of pan, and top to bottom is the amount of filtering. So further to the left, it's going to be pan to the left. Further to the right, it's going to be pan to the right. If you stick it right in the center, it's going to be right in the center. Top to bottom, their placement vertically is going to be how much filtering it is, and there's 21. I think in the manual it says 20, but there's 21 inputs, so I don't know, one of them had to be shared or something, but it's all analog filters, and they're all adjusted such that wherever you put them vertically, it's going to give it room in the mix that way. Room by virtue of there's only one per input, right? So in a way, you're doing the work, but in a way, it's arranged it in a way that's really easy to give everything some space, right? So, what better way to demonstrate what this can do than send it some mixes? First patch demo today. This is like end of chain mix. So I've submixed my drums into these two channels that I'm putting in the bottom here. And then we have our bass sound in the middle somewhere. You know what? Let's put it a little lower so we can do that. Our stereo drums on either side, and then our melody right at the top. So I'm just going to show you if we bring some of that in. So you have four knobs. There's overall level, this is your output, and then there's an attenuator for the VCA and a CV input for that. And then there's the effect depth, and same thing, a CV input for that, and an attenuator. So let's turn this up. But if we bring in our depth, if we bring in our filtering, the SoundStage is gluing it for us. And man, it instantly is so much better. Original. SoundStage. But now, new on the SoundStage 2 is the effects end. So I picked the most prevalent or the craziest effect I could find, basically, so it would really demo it. We're going to use the Qubit Aurora, so let's send that. This is our dry mix. Bring in the SoundStage. Bring in the Aurora. Move this guy up a little bit. Yeah, I think it's kind of a little filtered out on the low end. Okay, that's better. Let's bring this in. That's totally dry. A little more volume. And then bring in the wet. Sorry, let's bring in the SoundStage filtering. Yeah, I will say, I think you can't go too crazy with the depth, at least in this patch. All right, let's bring in some Aurora. Forward. What I'm finding right away here, though, is that summing the drums in a submix here doesn't really land. Like, I moved it up, and now, wow, I can really hear the snare, but then the bass isn't as boosted as much as in its other configuration. Actually, doing this thing, actually, I kind of like that, too. Yeah, and no control over the effects mix, so you just got to use the mix on the module, or make sure you're using a module that has effects mix. I really didn't like that, what I'm sending it there, but I really hope that it was super distinct so you can hear what's changing between the different patches, or the different placements on the SoundStage. So, forgive that really boring jam, but yeah. So, to what I said there before, using submixes with the SoundStage is kind of tough. I don't really love it. I would say that, like, the whole point of the SoundStage is to utilize the 21 patches, right? So I'm summing down my drum mix to 2 inputs, and things are getting a little funky. So what we are going to do now is use the SoundStage as a drum mixer. So mixer not in terms of levels, but mixer in terms of placement on the SoundStage. So let's patch that up. So we got our kick front and center at the bottom. We've got our snare on the left and our hat on the right, and then cymbal at the top. So let's try moving it up a bit. All right, so this is totally dry. Turn me down a bit and bring in the SoundStage. What? Especially as a drum mixer, that sounds really good. I would, yeah. So immediately we're learning you can't use the submix like I had going there. You gotta piece out your drums into the slots of the SoundStage. That's what the SoundStage is for, obviously. Demoing CV sources. I'm going to use the lapses os here for simplicity. You are aware that you can use LFOs, you can use a joystick controller, you can use a CV sequencer, you can use envelope generator. Didn't I already say that? Anyway, you can use any CV source you want, but for simplicity, so you can see what's going on here, I'm going to use lapses os, which is normal to, I think, 5 volts out of the box, but I'm just going to show you some CV controls. So dry. We bring in some depth. Yeah, if I set it to noon, I can boost and cut. Level control. So this is a VCA. If there's a scenario in which you want this to be a VCA for your oscillator, your normal situation, it could be. Note, doesn't cut off the effects end. The effects return is going to play the tail, right? So that's an interesting thing to me, because you could choke your drums that way and have a crazy tail. Right? But think about, there's a stage of modulation here that's really interesting to me, right? So yeah, volume up, depth down. Modulate that depth. You can use it as a sidechain. So if you have either a envelope follower or a module that has a sidechain output, which I am using the ShackMat battering ram today, so I can send the envelope output of that guy to the VCA of the SoundStage 2, and then it can sidechain that kick. So let's hear that. So we're replacing that envelope output, or we're replacing lapses os output here with the envelope out of the battering ram, and it's going to sound like this. That's actually really killer. I really like that. And then the last thing I wanted to do before I gave the final thoughts, I want to show y'all how it sounds just to demonstrate the stage. So CV is out, FX end is out, VCA, the level is cranked, the depth is cranked. This is what that sounds like. Do a little bit of synth, and then we'll be good. yeah, that's, sorry, this is the most boringest way to show it, but yeah, that's what it sounds like. Look at this. I need my computer. Get off that. Get off that. Final thoughts. You have to pair this with attenuators. This isn't working in the way that I expected my submix to work. That's okay. That's what this is for. If you are using this with the attenuators in front, then they also make their own attenuator thing to go with this called the sidecar. Definitely sounds amazing. I really like that. And everyone who I talked to about this one before I had it was always just like, oh, that's such a clever idea. And I hate to like not have any new interesting thought, but what a clever idea. It's like so simple and straightforward, and the effects end is like really useful. Yeah, I wish the sidecar had mutes. I know you can just move the sliders down, but if you want to do performative muting stuff, I think that would make it really cool. I'm sure there's other modules that can do that for you, but that's my thoughts. Yeah, if you have multiple sources and you like this idea of spectral mixing, then SoundStage. SoundStage. All right, I'm Tafony. Thanks for watching. Take care, and I'll talk to you soon.